All right, Jen, you ready to go? We got podcast number 6 about to start.
Is it number 6 already?
Yes, it is.
Oh my goodness. Ooh, I like this. It's
Right.
groovy. Who is this?
I call it G-Love,
Oh.
right? Doesn't it sound like G-Love special sauce?
No, it sounds like Ray. What's his name? Ray LaMontagne. What was his name? Gosh.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
I know what you're
Right?
talking
It's like
about.
Sunday afternoon music. You got the windows open. You're reading the paper.
Well, that's sort of what we got going on right now.
True. Except it's a little cloudy.
It is cloudy. It's a little dark for a beautiful day on Saturday. But anyway, we're going to kickstart podcast number 6 of Plate and Ponder. Why don't you tell everybody about this podcast?
Welcome back. I'm your host, Jen Fenton, and I'm here with my husband, Chris Fenton. And we are a longtime married couple. We are empty nesters, and we're here to talk about some interesting topics. We're going to banter a little. I'm probably going to get annoyed with him. And then we're going to close it up with maybe a little more banter. Hopefully we learn something new. I know I'm going to learn something new.
Well, you're going to learn that I don't remember what song I used for the last opening, so we're playing this one, and I'm going to remember it as G-Love. This is our opening songs. So welcome to Plate and Ponder. Let's get it started.
Woohoo! Sorry, guys, we've been absent for a few days. Chris was traveling. He was in Nashville, and I was home, and I am not the tech person in this family, so I don't want to touch any buttons for fear that I will blow the house up.
Yeah, well, you didn't blow up the house, and I was excited to come home and see you. And I always wonder, like, what you're up to while I'm gone, because we don't have the kids, right? So it's just you and the dog, and obviously you work hard during the day. But what do you do when you get home at night? What are you watching?
Well, I don't walk around naked like you. I do wear pants. I do pour myself a glass of wine. I do cook dinner. I'm binging a show that I know you don't love when I watch it, but it kind of gives me an excuse to watch it when you're not here. So I was watching the morning show, and it's a little bit like, it's star porn because there's so many celebrities in it, but there's not the most redeemable characters. So I think your point is I get in a really bad mood after I watch it. And when you're not home, I can watch it and I can be in a bad mood without you.
No, there's 2 things that get you in a bad mood. One is watching...
Wait, only 2 things that get me in a bad mood? That's actually an understatement.
That I have no control over,
Okay,
right? Like,
okay.
I have a lot of control over the things that do get you in a bad mood, but let's talk about the things that are out of my control. One
Okay.
is this morning show that you watch. There are no redeemable characters in it. I keep looking for something in, like, say, Jennifer Aniston's character that makes me care about her, and no, she just gets worse by the day. So I don't know, and you digest it, and then you put it in your body system and you process it, and then suddenly you're mad and irritated at me about a bunch of things. Now, it's that, and heaven forbid the second thing that does make you upset.
What's that?
Champagne.
I do get mean on champagne. I'm fine with Prosecco.
I mean, it's not a glass of champagne. It's when you
Do like a bottle?
do a little too much of the champagne.
We went to a wedding once, and I actually had no idea that I became mean on champagne. And weddings are like the happiest events ever. That and bar and bat mitzvahs. Everybody has fun. You're dancing. There's good food. You're seeing fun people. You're dressed nice. And I think I had maybe 1 too many glasses of champagne, and I was getting kind of bitchy to you.
Oh, yeah, that's a good word for it. I'm not going to use that word, but
No,
yes,
you can't.
I can
No.
agree with you on that word.
Yeah.
I will say we are going to tackle 2 important topics today after our little banter session. It's always difficult to avoid the topic of China, but I think we do have to talk a little bit about it because
Fair.
Trump and Xi Jinping met this week. So we're going to cover that. And then what was interesting also in Nashville, and I don't want to get too deep in the weeds because obviously there's certain things that are proprietary, but I did watch 2 research sessions on social media and how 20-somethings are digesting social media and where they stand on it today. And I think there was some really interesting fodder for conversation that I dug up from that. But before we get to those important topics, I do want to address a couple things about travel, because
travel.
we are traveling probably across, or at least I'm cross country.
We do.
maybe
We've been
2 or 3
traveling a
times.
lot. We have, yeah.
I enjoy it a lot because I have clients all over the world
Sure.
now, so it does put me on planes quite a bit, and we don't PJ around. We fly on commercial airliners, and there's one thing that definitely bothers me about commercial flying, and it's probably a thing that affects guys more. But the toilet seats in every plane, they're not standardized as far as the slow close. So if you're nice
This
enough,
is what bothers you, the slow close, not
Yes.
the gross bathroom with like pee on the floor and the toilet paper every place.
That
and the
always does get
sink
me,
that's or what about when you flush the toilet and it sounds like you're going to be sucked down
Oh,
the universe?
I always get scared that it's actually going to go to the reverse direction, and I'm just going to get doused.
Oh,
in
that's
there.
so gross with the blue water.
Yeah,
That's just
I always wonder where it goes too. It's like
That's
sucked out of the
nasty.
plane and lands on somebody. I don't know, but anyway, as a guy, I am courteous, so I do lift the toilet seat. And when you're on a plane, you don't really want to touch it and close it, so you sort of
Do you
use
do
your
your foot? You do that, like,
use your
weird,
foot to kick
awkward
it down,
stance? Okay.
and you just assume it's going to slow close because it's on a plane. Like, you don't want things crashing and making loud noises. Well,
Yeah, I don't think you can say crash and plane in the same sentence. I feel like that's yelling fire in plane
Exactly.
or like bomb on plane. You can't do that. That's bad.
Well, and I notice it at homes too. I feel like somebody's got to make a law that everything is a slow close toilet seat.
The
now.
Toto is a slow close.
Yeah, no, many are, but the ones that you just assume are and slam and sometimes even crack because they slam so hard, it scares the crap out of you. It pisses off your, whoever your host is that has the guest bathroom in there, and they're like, what the heck did he just do? And then on an airplane, it's just extra loud, and I know that people buy the bathroom, which is not a great seat to have, obviously, are startled every time it happens, and it's just not something you want to have on a plane. So can we pass a
You've
law?
spent a lot of time thinking about this.
Well, can't we just get every toilet standardized so it's a slow close? That's
so
what I'm saying.
this is going to be your mission. Like, this is what you want to do right now.
You know what? Honestly, it should have been one of our important topics we talk about today. I don't know why'd we put it in the banter
I
section?
don't know, but you've got a lot to say about it.
Okay, no, you know what? I got one other in the plane.
Oh,
okay?
jeez. Oh, my gosh.
When did we move to the point in time where everybody closes the windows on planes?
Day or night? Because I think
no,
that there's
during the day.
Okay,
During the
day bothers me. The nighttime, no, please close it. I want to sleep.
Well, I get it because we've been taking red eyes,
Yes.
and you don't want the
Like the sunlight or whatever it is.
blasting
Mhm.
in
Yeah.
while you're trying to get a couple hours of sleep. But it drives me crazy because, first of all, the fact that we're even allowed to or capable of flying at 35,000 feet, like, I love to look out the window and see what's down there. It's just very fascinating to me, and I know I'm not the only one.
No.
So now that I get the stink eye every time I open a window, it drives me crazy. But then the second thing is, it's daylight. It's when we're supposed to be awake and working and whatever. And like, why are we darkening the plane to make it seem like we're in a cave somewhere? I don't get that. And it's something that's happened in the last few years, right? Am I wrong? I mean,
No,
I
you're
never
not.
remember this whole thing of closing
I
windows.
do wonder if maybe there's been some sort of study by the aviation industry where if you close the windows and you make it cozy, then the passengers are less needy. They're not going to ask for the drinks as much. They're not going to get up as much. They're not going to push that, that flight attendant button by the air conditioner. Maybe there's an actual reason for this.
Yeah, well, somebody needs to tell me what it is. I know that they close them when they're at the terminal at the gate
Well,
if it's
why?
hot outside.
Why? Okay.
Because if it's hot outside, they don't want to heat up the plane because
Okay.
sometimes they can't run all the auxiliary air conditioning and stuff because it's not hooked up or the engine's not on or whatever it is. So that I get. But like daylight flying, you get to look out a window. It's beautiful. I mean, pilots don't make a lot of money and they love their job because they do feel like a bird. So I feel like a bird too. I like to look down.
But
I
you're
like
a
to see the
caged
mountains
bird
and all
if
that
you're in the airplane with your windows down.
stuff. Yeah. Well, anyway, I think we dwelled on this subject too much, but it does drive me crazy. Oh, I guess the last thing I'm going to say, because
There's
we have
more.
we have talked about how I always have to take a pee right before I get on the flight.
Oh my gosh, that is the most annoying thing. And I know it's annoying for you that I try and pre-board in the group that's not mine. And probably my pet peeve for you is going pee 3 times before you have to board the plane.
Right. Well, can we talk about just the lack of bathrooms close to your
You're a
gate?
man. It takes you 2
Okay.
seconds. Have you
Okay,
seen
can
have you seen the line for the women's
Okay,
bathroom?
well that's another thing is like I feel badly for you because you're like, oh, I got to go there because I have to wait 10 people deep to get into the,
10
into
people
the-
deep is sometimes lucky.
Yeah, well, that's crazy. Like we've been having airports for many decades. Like, wouldn't somebody have understood the fact that you should have enough bathrooms, restrooms around
Okay,
these
don't
places?
get me started on the layout of airports because I think LAX is a disaster for being a major hub in a major city. It's kind of embarrassing.
It's definitely embarrassing. And the people mover, by the way, that
Is
was
that going
supposed
to actually happen?
well, it was supposed to be ready 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And then it was supposed to open this summer. It didn't.
As in like August 2025 this
Yes,
summer?
because there's all kinds of malfunctions with it. It's not.
jeez.
It's apparently a people mover that doesn't move people. Like that's the issue they found. So
Is
they're
it gonna
trying to
be-
fix that. It's just a mover.
Oh my God, this is a disaster.
No, it's crazy. And then I don't think anybody understands exactly how that airport's going to work. And I don't want to dwell on it because I know we have listeners all over the world now.
But clearly LAX
But
is
if
an
you,
issue
yeah,
for us.
if you come to LAX, just prepare for the worst. There's a couple terminals that are halfway decent. Everything else is sort of a disaster. Although Bradley's sort of good, but like, good luck figuring out how to time it perfectly with your Uber to pick you up. Like, it's just the whole
I
thing
don't
is
get it.
messed up. And they're supposed to have it all ready for the World Cup, which is next summer, but apparently it might not be. And then of course we got the Olympics coming too. Though, anyway, it's LA. It's
Oh my God, we need to move.
I got to stop talking about LAX and airports.
It's a lot of flying. You do have your passport out. I'm wondering if you're planning on going someplace and not telling me.
I've been thinking about fleeing.
Wait, are you going to take me to Paris and we're going to have a romantic jaunt?
How'd you guess?
Yeah, it's the surprise.
Oh my God. I do want to get to Paris again soon. We do love that place.
We
Even
do.
though it's a little crazy as far as certain things there. I do love the food. Steak frites I could eat all day with my Côte de Rhône or Chateauneuf de Pape.
Again, it goes back to the wine.
All right,
Should
and
we actually talk?
Well,
Should we talk?
I want to do one other thing. I want to give a
Okay.
shout out to Nashville and actually to Canada too, because I did have to get back quick to teach my USC course and then run a
Humble
conference.
brag.
It's not a humble brag. It's one course at USC that I love, and I love the kids in it. We have a lot of fun, and we had shout out to Trish Husson, who was our guest this week, and she's a fantastic big kahuna over at Disney. But the next day was Canada, which was also great. Did a keynote at a conference there, and it was actually here in
Humble
LA.
brag.
But Nashville, can I just say Nashville?
Yeah.
Southern hospitality.
Love.
It is there.
Love.
It's there. And I feel like it's contagious because a lot of Californians have moved there.
Well, they've
And
moved south for sure. I don't
Yeah.
necessarily know Nashville per se, but
No,
south.
Nashville's had a huge influx of Californians, and it's contagious, that Southern hospitality. Like, there's people that I know from California that have moved there that have been completely transformed into Southern hospitality, really nice, polite, respectful people. Not
Ma'am,
that they weren't
sir,
before,
things like
but
that.
Yeah, it's just, it's very interesting, and I love it. And you get into an Uber or a taxi or whatever, they just want to talk to you, and it's not an irritating talk. It's like I really care about where you're from and what you do, and like, you want to hear about what my experiences here and all that kind of stuff. It's just, I don't know, I love it, and the food is good.
Wait, back up. So do you tip more? Do you tip the Uber more in Nashville than you do in Los Angeles?
Oh, I mean, I'm a good tipper overall anyway, because I've worked in tip
Right, but I'm just
industries myself.
curious. Do you tip more in Nashville?
I definitely probably tip more. Yeah, I
Because
would say
you feel like there's a genuine interest in who you are and why you're traveling
Yeah.
and what you're doing.
I mean, I'm a 20% on top of the full gross bill.
Okay,
like
but
tax.
what we talked about
But
before,
then-
I don't know if 20% is considered a good tipper anymore.
So now, like, I would say I creep into the 25% in Nashville just simply because people really deserve it. And I will say, when it comes to Ubers or taxis to and from airports, I probably go more like 50% in certain
that's really
cases.
nice.
Well, because we happen to not live too far away from airports, which is nice, and I feel badly that they wait a long time for those those rides. And I just think it's a tough way to make a living, and these people work hard. So anyway. Oh, and one other thing.
Yes.
Apparently, we talked about it before, but they did catch two of the village people that were involved with the diamond heists. But
Were they wearing their
apparently,
YMCA orange vests?
They were wearing village people outfits, but
Oh no! What?
they were caught without the diamonds or anything.
Well, of
so
course
no one
not.
knows where
If
they
you
are.
okay, going back to I think it was Ocean's 8 with Rihanna and Anne Hathaway, you get the jewels, you deconstruct them, and then you sell them off or you make new pieces. So of course they're not going to find the jewels. Hello, we've seen this Hollywood movie play out. Did you expect the village people would be like wearing their diamond necklaces around town, eating steak frites?
I don't know. I
What
don't
were you
even know what to think of
expecting?
where they would be, right? Like, yeah, whoever, somebody must have hired them to do it, and they're off on a jet somewhere, living in a boat. It's probably Dr. Evil off the coast of like New Zealand or something in the biggest boat ever.
That's
Don't you
another
think?
podcast episode.
Yeah. Well, anyway, let's get
Let's-
to the
let's
serious
get to
topic.
serious.
Let's get to serious topics because we are supposed to be serious here. In fact, there's my Austin Powers. Like, I love that. Right?
Groovy.
Isn't that groovy?
It's so funny what you do with your head when this music comes on. You do this little jig where you
yeah.
bounce your head back and forth.
Well, maybe we use this music as the intro to the serious subjects.
I don't know about that. We can have this conversation later, but let's talk serious. What do you want to start with?
Well, I'd like to talk about how 20-somethings are adjusting to this social media society that we've created for them and for us that we are all fully addicted to. Down in Nashville, we did some really interesting research groups because we're working on a variety of different initiatives that need us to understand this better than
And this
most.
specific demographic, right? Like the young, I don't want to, they're not teens, but I'd call them the young adolescents.
I would say under 30s are important, but
Under
everybody's
30 is
important.
an adult.
Yeah, I mean, it was really 18 to 30.
Okay. That's a pretty big span.
But what shocked, first of all, the people that we had really wanted to be there. These kids really wanted to be there to talk about social media, their habits, and how they engage with media, different platforms, etc. And I thought that was fascinating by itself because they obviously feel like they need to be heard in what they're experiencing and what they think is not working and what they think might be bad.
Well, there's definitely a narrative, and I think we can all agree to it, that teens, young adults, 30-somethings, whatever it is, they are glued to their phone. They get information from these platforms, right? They're not necessarily searching out the news like we talked about in the last episode where they're going from one station to the next to hear two sides of the argument. It's a little surface, right? And we think that they've lost connections because they're so devoted to their phone. So like you walk into a room, and when we grew up sort of in the industry, you walk into a conference room and you're talking about what you did the night before or the weekend or this great new restaurant. Now everybody's on their phone, and maybe you get a head nod, maybe you get some eye contact, but there's very few like back and forth bullshit that happens anymore.
Yeah, well, and you got to realize that a lot of this started. Obviously, there was Facebook and various MySpace and various other social media platforms out there, but it really kickstarted with the invention of the smartphone, which was roughly 2007. So a lot of these kids, if you're 18, you've only known a world with a smartphone, which is really
Yes, and
unbelievable.
I don't think 18-year-olds are using Facebook. I think that is
No,
so
exactly.
antiquated. Like
No,
that
I'm just
is for
saying that
old
that was
man.
around before,
Right.
around before. No, these, obviously there was a lot of specific stuff that we were asking, but I'll hit a couple of the macros, which I feel free to talk about. Number one is like, if you look at the difference between males and females, it seemed like males in this demo were heavy on YouTube, heavy.
Well, I think YouTube is the platform actually for almost everybody in that age group. That's probably the number one platform.
YouTube and IG, you've Instagram for sure, and
Yeah.
then also
Oh,
the males-
TikTok.
TikTok was more female.
Interesting.
Female was definitely more influenced by the TikTok platform. I do wonder if part of the story of TikTok eventually getting banned, which I hope it will be eventually here. I have my doubts whether the Chinese are going to actually close that deal, and have my doubts whether that's going to all get through, but let's see what happens. But yeah, TikTok was definitely more female. I was surprised by Spotify. Like Spotify was a
Really?
Yeah, Spotify had a very large contingency both on male and female. Men are obviously listening to podcasts on Spotify
More than females?
more than females. Females are definitely more driven, it seemed, by music. But the big overarching theme was that these kids realize they have an addiction. They realize that social media is definitely creating something that's detrimental to their health and well-being and their ability to be productive and constructive with their life, which I think is very different than if you went, say, 5 years ago. Social media was extremely important and engaged by this demo to the point where they felt like it was super important part of their life. I think now almost every one of them had tried to quit certain platforms. Some of them removed platforms from their smartphone only to bring it back. They're trying to limit the amount that they use.
Well, our daughter used to do that. She used to set a timer, right?
Didn't she have an app that she put on her phone?
And it would shut down the social media for a certain amount of time. And then when she was taking a break from studying or whatever that, sort of qualification was that she met, she would then go and look online.
Yeah, and she also would be counting the minutes for the reset so she could start listening to it again or watching it again. So that was all interesting to me, like the shift in the belief that this demo has that social media now is actually harmful rather than helpful. And then another thing
can I just say something about that? There's a double-edged sword to social media, right? Because I think there's the positive side, which is the social connections that it brings. And we see the social connections as sort of going away because you're not engaging, you're not having those conversations. But kids are actually using these platforms to engage with other kids, right? Maybe they're not comfortable fully with, a certain part of their life or a certain part of their identity, and they're finding those connections in this big World Wide Web or platform or whatever it is, right? So they are connecting that way and they're finding their group, they're finding acceptance. So I think that could be the positive side, but the negative side is certainly the judgment. The negative side is certainly the addiction. And I think there's component of like comparing, right? Where you see this perfect Instagram post that is it's been curated to the hell. And you sit there going, oh, I can't live up to that. I don't look like that. I'm not traveling the world like that. My day isn't as exciting as that. So you automatically feel less than.
Well, that's 100, and that's been around for a while. This whole fear of missing out, FOMO thing, right? And also the fact that people feel like these curated lives are actually their reality life, and they look at their own life and they feel very depressed about it in a comparison kind of scenario. I would also add that, like you said, this ability to connect is probably more of a quantity connection versus a quality connection in a lot of ways. I mean, there's a lot of interaction that these kids have with others that they have actually never met in the human flesh, which you could argue is sort of interesting because there was, I mean, when I was growing up, I think my school promoted this idea of having pen pals in other countries, and you would write letters and they would write a letter back and you get it like a month later. And, you had these pen pals that you never met in person. And then every once in a while, a picture would come or they'd send a gift from their country. Yeah. Or somebody would actually put together the money to fly the person to your school and everybody met them or whatever it was. But so that's an example of it. But obviously for the most part, actually for all the part, everybody's relationships were in human connection. The other part that I thought was really interesting on a macro level is this, and I think we talked about it on an earlier podcast about how, like on Instagram or on Facebook, it doesn't show me a lot of stuff about the people I'm trying to follow and keep up with, right? Like there was a time Well, there was a time where Instagram, okay, you follow all these people that you know, that some you talk to every day and some you haven't talked to in years, but they follow you back, and then you get to see what they're doing in their life. So if you go back to a reunion or something, you're like, "Oh my God, I've been following you. You have
I saw you
know,
at the pumpkin patch with your kids the other day."
How old are your kids now?
Right.
They must be, 18 and 16 or something. And oh my God, I love some of the photos you have from your cottage down at the beach or whatever it is. That's what I wanted Instagram to become, and it was for a long time. And then suddenly, I don't know when the shift happened, but it was like, okay, now it will feed you maybe 2 or 3 stories or 2 or 3 posts that are people that you're following. And then suddenly it shifts into these reels of, things that you're like, wait, why am I seeing this? And
Well,
of course,
I told you, I've been having issues with my Instagram and the algorithms, and for the longest time, I wasn't even seeing people that I'm friends with. I'd actually have to go and search them out. So normally, I'd have, you would be in my feed, and if you posted something, you would come up as soon as I opened the app. But for a few weeks, I couldn't even get your feed, and I'd have to type in your Instagram handle. I did though update my app, and I did reset my phone. And since then, things have been better.
Well, what we started to hear was that the algorithm now is set up not to feed you and allow the algorithm to follow what you do and are interested in and then deliver that to you. Instead, the algorithm is now taught to lead you into things.
Can we turn off the robot, and can you say that as a normal person? Because I was really distracted and kind of annoyed.
Okay. It's like the social media annoying, right? Like that algorithm is annoying. What these kids were saying, which is so obvious to me now, which I didn't realize it, is that it's not really social media anymore. Social media was essentially supposed to be programmed by you, your likes, your preferences, what you wanted to follow, and then that allows you to engage in the stuff that you are interested in. Now, social media is essentially almost like a TV network or something. It's essentially creating a path for you to follow, and then you start engaging in where it's trying to take you, and then it takes you farther and farther off your original path and into the path it wants you to follow.
But this is not a new topic, because there was a movie, and gosh, I don't know how long ago it was. I think it's when our kids were in maybe middle school. Oh, that sounded like
for a beer.
It sounded like a nice cold beer. There was this movie called Screenagers, and it was one of the first looks at social media and its impact on our kids. And that was the premise, that these kids are going into quote unquote the dark web because maybe they're looking for topic XYZ. XYZ leads them to ABC, which leads them to KLM, and you're just going down the rabbit hole, and you get so entrenched and so taken on these windy, twisty roads that you are so far from what you wanted, and now you're seeing things that you shouldn't be seeing or wanted to see.
Well, exactly in that scenario, these kids are very self-reflective, and
so they're aware of it, but they're still using social media. So what gives?
Well, A, they're addicted. B, their self-reflection says to them now that everything that they see on social media, they believe has an agenda. Because
really, you think? I mean, you really think that?
That's what seems to be the consensus.
Like, if we asked our kids, you're looking at TikTok, you're looking at Insta, you're looking at Snap, maybe not Snap, because Snap is more content created by their friends, little messages, but we can just use YouTube or TikTok. If you're looking at that, do you really think that they believe it's created with an agenda, with some sort of hidden meaning?
Yes.
Interesting.
I think,
can we ask them tomorrow when we talk to them?
I think they all are aware of it. And I think for the most part, they're always trying to figure out what that agenda is. I don't think it's a secret to them anymore. In fact, a lot of them talk about how it seems like they're always trying to sell something. A lot of the influencers that are fed to them that they don't want to follow, that they start following because there's interesting content or whatever, they realize it's all about selling something, etc. So, let's close up on this one.
I'd
and
love to
move on.
revisit it. I'd love to ask the kids and come back to it at another point because I think it's a really interesting topic.
Oh, and the one other thing about social media,
Yes.
they all use their smartphones as a crutch in public
Well,
scenarios.
that's what we talked about. That
Yeah.
you walk into a conference room and nobody says hello. How was your night? Where'd you go to dinner?
And they're aware of it. They're like, we're not used to uncomfortable situations and how to deal with it because we just go straight to our phone anytime we feel uncomfortable. I'm like, oh my God, that is something that I do now a little bit too. But anyway, let's talk about China.
Oh, wow, that's a transition.
Well, China actually does control the most influential platform on earth for anybody under 35. I mean, even though TikTok wasn't a huge, issue that they were talking about on the male side of those research groups, the majority of news and information consumed by those under 35 around the world is consumed off of TikTok.
Huh.
And TikTok is owned and controlled by Beijing. So what's interesting is that this past week, I was very focused, mainly because people were asking me a lot of questions about it. As a guy who's been back and forth to China 39 times, hey, what you think of the Xi Jinping Trump discussion? Because Trump met with Xi Jinping. They met in South Korea. That was a really
Wednesday night, right?
It was it was our Wednesday.
Our Wednesday,
their Thursday.
yeah, okay.
And there was a lot of questions as to whether they actually would sit and meet, and there was a lot of questions about, okay, what they talk about over the 2 hours that they had. The big thing that a lot of pundits and critics and various other experts are talking about is, did Trump accomplish a lot? Did he move forward on this aggressiveness towards China on a trade issue?
So then, if I may stop, are you asking, is it fair to categorize this meeting as a trade truce? Is that the best way of saying it?
There's definitely a floor in the relationship that has been put into place. So right now, I would say our chances of having any sort of kinetic conflict with China are pretty mitigated now.
Thank goodness today.
Yes. But
Today, we're not getting into a house of dynamite situation.
Yeah, exactly. But what did happen, which is really scary and something a lot of us knew was brewing, was China pulled their ultimate trump card, no pun intended, which was something we've talked about before, which is their rare earths chokehold on the rest of the world.
You love rare earths.
I do. Well, we all love rare earths
Yeah,
because
but
they're
rare
in
earth-
everything we use.
Yes.
Electronics wise, smartphone wise,
Computers, cars, all of that. And I think when you
Yes.
say it in that context, it seems so much more relatable than the rare earths. I don't know. Rare earths just seems like a very big concept to me.
Okay, should I call them some of the key ones the samarium cobalt magnets? Because 50 pounds of them are put into every F-35 fighter
Right, you've
jet.
talked about that.
So-
That again, that is just like over my head, and
Okay.
I don't know if people want to hear that.
Here's the crazy part: is that this Deng Xiaoping, which was the person running China a few decades ago, he knew that the one chokehold that he could put on the United States of America and the rest of the Western world was controlling rare earth mining and refinement and production. And he spent, as did the people that took over the country after him, all their time trying to figure out how to do this. And we actually were aware of it. Even back in the 90s, GM owned a rare earths processing plant here in the United States of America that we stupidly sold to the Chinese under the agreement that they were not going to break apart and put under that company. They, of course, didn't agree with that. And after the deal was done, I forgot how long it was, maybe a year later, the company went under. But all their IP, technology, and process moved over to China. And China used everything that plant taught them to use against us now. So cut to today, 90% of anything processed in the rare earth space comes from China. 70% of the mining is done in China. What we saw in these trade negotiations was Trump trying to be very hard and difficult on various topics, from soybeans to
and
whatever.
I was going to talk about that when you're done talking about rare earth.
Okay, so he wanted really high tariffs. What we're at now is essentially across the board 47%, which is pretty good, but it's not nearly as high as the tariffs we have on, say, Southeast Asia and various other countries.
No, and aren't the tariffs going to go down a little bit too, which should, for the average consumer like me, I'm trying to pull it back because you are for sure the expert in the space, but aren't we going to see some lower tariffs, which means that come Christmas shopping and goods that we are going to be acquiring this time of year, maybe prices aren't going to be as high?
Well, pretty much everything we've bought that we would buy for Christmas is already gotten in the country based on whatever tariff that was at the time.
So we won't see any of that reflected?
Well, we have a higher tariff on China now than we've had before. It's roughly, everything has a different number.
I heard 47 to 57%.
It's 47%, but there's over 100% tariffs on various other. It just depends on the type of product or service that's coming in from China. But the bottom line is we want it a lot higher, and Xi Jinping made it very clear by ordering a directive a month ago that they were going to choke us off of anything that had rare earths in it.
Mm-hmm. Goes back to the rare earths again.
Yeah. So Trump was able to get that lifted in return for lowering all the large tariffs that he had placed on them or was threatening to place on them. So,
and then I also heard
we're
that
now at the 47% across the board, but it was going to be a lot higher, and we were going to get really difficult with NVIDIA's chips and various other semiconductor chips that we were trying to ban going over to China. We've backed off on that. There's a lot of things that we've had to back off on because of that choke point.
Okay, couple things I want to touch upon. Soybeans. I heard that they're going to now come back and be major purchasers in our market, in our agriculture. So that should relieve some of the pressure on our farmers. Yes. So that's good. But here's one that was super, super interesting and new to me. There was some discussion about fentanyl. And I thought fentanyl, okay, and I'm gonna be ignorant here, but that's because I'm obsessed with Narcos and we've seen every single season on Netflix. But I thought fentanyl was really, like Mexico and that southern region. I actually didn't know that there were products and there were like some of the goods to make fentanyl, to make the pills and the drugs that were coming from China. Is that totally ignorant?
No, it's not ignorant. It was something that a lot of us didn't realize even until COVID hit, right? When we realized how much of the precursors to so many different pharmaceuticals are made in China.
Oh, I guess you're right.
How many antibiotics are made over there. Obviously, all the surgical masks and all that kind of stuff. But the precursors to fentanyl, yes, are made mostly in China, and they're shipped to places like Mexico that then refine them into various drugs like fentanyl. And there is a very strong theory that most experts that study China believe in, which is this is Xi Jinping's version of an opium war, except it's put onto us. Because if you look at the amount of people that those precursors, which were flowing very freely, very cheaply, and actually influenced by Beijing to get over into the United States and the Western world, if you look at that amount and the amount of people that have died from it, it's a very interesting sort of reciprocity sort of strategy put on the West from what we did to them way back during the Opium Wars. So I tend to believe that maybe that was something that came out of various policies and it just happens to be working out that way. And of course they're going, well, that's sort of interesting. They did that to us, so why not keep it going for them? But at the same point, it's a really difficult situation that we got to try to mitigate and end. And she did agree to try to put some curbs on those precursors from getting over here.
Maybe there'll be a new Narcos season.
There could be a new Narcos season, but I say we wrap up the China for now. There's always like a lot of... All right, I just had to play that. Shaming by. Anyway, China is going to be a topic that we talk about a lot. I apologize for people that don't want to hear that, but it does affect all of us.
Right.
It
And
really
so you
does.
you go into the nitty-gritty, and I like to pull it back for the average listener who might not be really concerned about rare earth, but maybe they care more about, the products that they're going to be buying on Amazon, the soybeans, things like that.
Exactly.
That's why we're good. We go back and forth.
Oh, we're fantastic. And I don't, do we eat soybeans ourselves? What are soybeans used in? Or is that a precursor to most things that we eat and we don't even know that?
Probably.
Yeah.
We could do.
I mean, I do
could do
love
look,
beans.
yeah. Yes,
But
I
are
know.
soybeans really beans like the kind I like?
Let me do a deep dive on that for the next episode.
Ooh, that's
Can
a
we
good one.
discuss though that last night was Halloween, and I'm going to do what I think only one other person in this entire country is going to do. I'm going to go to maybe like a CVS or a Walgreens, and I'm going to buy candy corn. I'm going to get it on sale. They should probably be giving it to me for free because I'm the only person who likes candy corn, but I'm really excited. No. What's your favorite? Like as we were going up and down the walk
Kit
streets.
Kats.
Kit
I love
Kats,
Kit
okay.
Kats. I love Kit Kats. If I'm going chocolate, I gotta have Kit Kats. If I'm going hard candy or that
Like a
kind of
Skittles?
thing, Skittles.
Sour or regular?
If I could have a bag of Skittles that has no yellow or green, all day I'll just eat that. Forever.
What about the berry
The sours
flavor?
are great, except they eventually rip up your tongue. And
Yeah,
the roof
they
of
do.
your mouth.
It's like
And,
sandpaper.
Yeah, it's almost like their way of saying you ate too many. But it's hard to stop. So, and they also have a weird thing that it does to the sensitive teeth tend to get all messed up by those sour.
Okay, so your Kit Kat or Skittles? Anything else?
What else do I like? Yeah, those are probably the two. I mean,
Because Dylan loves 100 Grand. Like that was his favorite,
I think he just likes the name.
perhaps. And Kaylee likes the sour candies.
Yes, she does.
Do you remember when they were little and we had the Switch Witch, which for people who don't know, we had the kids pick like 10 pieces of their favorite candy because we clearly like to portion control our children, I guess. And we would say, okay, everything else is going to go to the Switch Witch. And we would donate it to like the Veterans Association. There was always that after our Halloween drive. And they would get a prize when they turned their candy in to the Switch Witch. Do you remember we did that?
Yeah, and they were really like cooperative with the Switch Witch too, which you thought if you would take 10 pounds of candy and narrow it down to 1 pound, they'd cry and have a hissy fit, but they actually felt like, okay, I'm okay with doing that.
Yeah, because they got something. It's a reward, right? We are a reward society.
We are a reward society, so I
And
would
you know
say,
what? On that topic, we are a reward society, and we do things when we get positive feedback. So if you like this show, give us positive feedback. Right? Write a review. Give us 5 stars. I don't want negative. I said that last time. I don't want negative.
Yeah, we would really love everybody to follow, do their downloads, essentially enjoy our show, tell other people about it. And until next time, we wish you a fantastic weekend and thank you for listening.
Bye.